The Company of Wolves. This is the 1984 werewolf cult classic that isn't your grandma's bedtime story. This was directed by Neil Jordan. I actually, when looking back at his filmography, I haven't seen a single one of this guy's movies. Part gothic fever dream, part fairy tale reimagining, and part werewolf horror, with some period symbolism sprinkled on top. Not like period like the time, like the other kind of period. I've been meaning to watch this movie for a long time. I actually was inspired to watch it by the Cobwebs channel. He had a list, and this was on it, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch that. I love that guy's channel. Go check him out. He makes a lot of like movie lists. They're great. And this movie is weird. Did I understand everything that was going on? No. Did I enjoy the surreal ride through puberty metaphors and insane werewolf transformations? Hell yeah. So let's dive into the bizarre, dreamy, and haunting world of The Company of Wolves. The movie opens to a German Shepherd. He's running through some woods. This dog is fast as fuck too. Then we see a girl running up to a manor, and then a car is pulling up, and the dog was actually chasing after this car. I guess this is all just one big family. The girl comes out to meet who I assume are her parents and the dog. And then she goes inside to wake up her, I guess, sister. She goes up to her door and is knocking. Wake up, her sister's asleep on the bed. And she's a real bitch about it. She keeps calling her a pest. You pest, you pest. Wake up, you pest. It's really annoying. And this girl, she's in bed, writhing around. She must be gone off that Benadryl. Then the room changes from day to night, and it gets really windy, and we're shown her massive collection of creepy haunted dolls. We pan outside her window, and we hear a dog howling. Now we see her sister, and she's running through an absolute nightmare. She's getting chased by giant versions of her creepy dolls. It's actually pretty scary. She opens up a little dollhouse, and there's this mouse in there, and he's so cute, and then she throws something at his little face. Hey, you fucking bitch. You don't fucking throw stuff at him. There's a creepy organ and an owl and giant mushrooms and then a pack of, surprise, motherfucker. Well, I guess they're dogs. I think they're supposed to be wolves, but they're dogs. These are just normal ass dogs. She runs as the dogs chase her down. All these dogs have glowing eyes, and they've got her cornered, and she loses her shit. Our original homegirl, she's still asleep, and I guess we're like living in her dream now because we're back to this dreamscape, and we see her sister in an old wooden coffin. This must be like 500, 600 years ago. We're introduced to her grandma, who is played by Angela Lansbury, who I only know from Murder, She Wrote. They go back to the little village where everybody lives, and she's like, your little ass is gonna stay with me tonight. Your parents need some time since your sister just got mauled by a bunch of wolves. Later on that night, she's telling her all these stories, and then grandma's like, you might be too young to hear this, but werewolves are real. And then she tells her this long story. In the story, we see a man and a woman. They've just been married, and they are running through the forest. Everybody's partying. They go to their cottage to bang. He's over in the corner, kind of hanging out by himself. And she's like, what's going on with you? You're acting a little weird. It's kind of hot. She's right. He's hot. Then he steps on a hedgehog, and as he goes to put it outside, he sees the full moon. His eyes are all yellow now, and he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go. He just runs out into the woods, and he's gone for a really long time. Everybody's in the town is searching for him, and he straight up doesn't come back. We flash forward a few years. She's got a couple kids with her now, 3 to be exact. He's been gone 3 whole kids, and you can tell that this is really wearing her down. 3 kids will do that. Then one night we hear those howls again, and here he comes, out of the woods. This dude has been on the most epic bender of all time. I'm pretty sure he was the inspiration for the Coors Light Beer Wolf. He's got long hair, he looks like total shit. She lets him in and she's like, what the fuck happened to you? Where the fuck have you been? I have 3 fucking kids now. He's like, shut up and make me some food, you dumb bitch. And she gives him some stew. And he's like, whose kids are those? She's like, I thought you were fucking dead, dude. And he's like, you whore. And she throws some hot stew on his face. And he starts ripping his skin off until he gets it down to just like the muscle and the tendons. And he's like, and then he starts transforming into a wolf, and it is amazing. This is so fucked up. This is one of the craziest werewolf transformations I have ever seen. Her husband then walks in, and he's like, Why is there a wolf in my house? And he whacks his head off with an axe, and the wolf head changes back into a man. Wow, what a great story. What else you got, Granny? Her and Granny go to sleep, and this dead ferret is on the wall, and it's like spying on them or something. I don't know. She wakes up, and she hears a howl outside. They go back to the village the next day, and this is when we're introduced to the weirdest character of this whole movie. There's this young lad in the village, and he has a crush on our main girl. Her name is Rosaline, but she doesn't really feel him like that. This kid looks like he is 40 years old. I don't know what bridge they found him under, but great choice. Later that night, she wakes up and she sees her parents fucking, and I think I'd rather be devoured by wolves than to see that. Jesus. The next day, the 40-year-old, 14-year-old brings her some flowers, and he's like, would you like to have a stroll with me? We could go and have a chat in the woods. Next scene, we see another child who looks like he's about 40 walking through the woods alone. When he sees headlights in the distance, oh shit, they are headlights. That's a Rolls Royce. And some guy gives him a little tincture that he rubs on his nipples, and then his chest fills with hair. Then vines crawl up his legs, and he starts freaking out. Huh? Granny's been hard at work knitting Rosaline this red shawl. Looks familiar. Rosaline's sitting in church one day. Her and 40-year-old are kind of flirting with each other, and then a bunch of big-ass spiders fall from the ceiling into her Bible. And that's not even the weirdest part. It's how she reacts to it. She just kind of brushes them off. Like, yeah, whatever. Her and 40 then go for a walk in the woods, and he tries to kiss her and bang her. She's like, will you fuck off, weirdo? And then she tries hiding from him. They both go off the path, which is something they've been warned not to do. Don't go off the path in the woods. She ends up climbing up a tree where he can't see her, and then she finds a mirror in a stork's nest, and then she puts some lipstick on, and then the stork's eggs crack open, and there's these little porcelain babies in them. Huh? This is the second time that I've been kind of baffled at what I'm watching because I'm just very confused. I think what this movie is doing, heavily inspired by trying to be some kind of old fairy tale. The original fairy tales were all very weird, very crazy, oftentimes very scary. They're meant to kind of scare kids and people and whip them into shape so that they don't do bad stuff. If you do this bad thing, then the pumpkin man is going to come and cut your hands off, stuff like that. But they always ended up having really weird aspects to it that in the modern day you don't see as much of that anymore. You know, it's been edited for future generations to be able to digest it a little better. I think that what this movie is doing is a lot of that. Maybe taking, purely speculating here, but taking aspects or just straight up old fairy tales and incorporating them into the movie somehow, which is weird and it doesn't make sense. It makes the movie very odd and strange. We're also inside of a young girl's dream, so we're getting a lot of very weird fever dreamy things. 40-year-old ends up finding a cow that's been slaughtered, and then he runs off. She walks past a wolf with blood all over its face. He gets back to the village crying wolf, and her dad is like, where's my daughter? And he kicks everybody's ass. She shows up in the village during all the commotion and shows mom this little porcelain baby. The village wolf hunters all head into the woods with their torches and their guns. They dig a trap, they toss a duck in it to lure the beasts in. Rosaline tells her mom this story about a wedding of some rich people. They're all at this banquet kind of feasting, being rich pricks. And then this red-headed pregnant lady wanders in and she starts spitting on all their food. And she's like, what? You guys don't remember me? I used to be good enough for you. Then she breaks a mirror by looking at it and everybody in the room starts changing into wolves. We even see some wolf titties. Another really crazy scene. The transformations are really nuts, especially this one. I mean, what the hell? And then they're all wolves and they're wearing their little outfits and they're causing a ruckus and they're eating all the food. It's delightful. Then the next thing we see is that lady and she's up in a tree with her baby and she's listening to all of the wolves howl for her. What a great scene. I have no idea what just happened. The imagery here, though, is just incredible. I love this so much. Back at the trap, the wolves are coming, looking for some delicious duck. One lunges, it falls into the trap, and then everybody shoots it like 20 times. Dad comes back to the house and he's like, I cut its paw off, but now look. It's a dude's fucking hand. This is nuts. What's going on here? Then he tosses it into the fire. inside the house. You're gonna burn a man's hand inside your own home, dude? Jesus, whole house is gonna stink. Rosaline is heading to her grandmother's house, and 40-year-old's like, "Oi, let me come." And she's like, "Get lost, loser." On her way there, she encounters this very weird older guy who takes her to this picnic spot where they flirt with each other pretty hard. Kind of made me uncomfortable. And then he starts to freak out when she mentions werewolves, like she's some kind of a moron for thinking they're real. He makes a bet with her that he can make it to her grandma's house before her. On his way there, he starts licking the blood off of some dead pheasants that he's carrying. He beats her to Granny's, and he's got blood all over his face, and his eyes are yellow. He walks in and Granny whaps him upside the head, and then he turns around looking at her, and he's licking at his face with a massive tongue. She swings a fire poker at him, and he grabs it with his hand, which burns him really bad. And then he smacks Granny's head clean off of her body. But when it hits the wall, it shatters like porcelain. I'm so confused. Rosaline finally gets there. He's just inside chilling, aggressively rocking in her chair. She looks up and she sees the full moon, and it starts to turn red. And then she looks down and she sees a bunch of blood in the snow. She's like, "Where's my grandma?" He's like, "She's out getting firewood." And then she steps on her grandma's glasses. Then she tries to stab him, but he stops her. He makes her take off her shawl, and they burn it. Then they hear some howling outside. She looks out and she sees a big old pack of wolves. Then she grabs his gun and she turns it on him. When he tries to take it, she shoots at him, and then he cowers on the floor like a scared little pup. He tries to kiss her and she pushes him off of her, and then she shoots him in the arm. And then he gets on all fours and he starts having a massive freak out. I've seen some crash outs in my day, but this might take the cake. And then he starts a-changing. His long-ass tongue is going in and out of his mouth. God damn, this dude could probably do some real work with that thing, huh? I bet he made some people real happy, huh? Then his mouth opens up and a wolf's mouth comes out. It's awesome. Then the rest of the wolf's body just rips out like through his back. His skin is just splitting everywhere. And the wolf just kind of sits there and it whimpers like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she tells him a story about a she-wolf that visited a village. We see this dog come out of a well, and then it gets shot in the leg. So it runs to a graveyard. And there's this old man there. I think he's a priest. And he helps her. She transforms into a real ugly looking gal. But he helps her up. He wraps up her wound. And then this she-bitch, she creeps around the village again. I don't know if I can show any of this. She's totally naked the whole time. And then she goes back down the well. Once again, very confused as to what's going on. Whether this story makes any sense or not, the wolf really seemed to enjoy it. The villagers are now running through the woods looking for Rosaline when they approach the shack, and a wolf crashes out of the window into the forest. They go inside, and there's a different wolf sitting in there on the floor, and it's wearing a crucifix. Rosaline has changed into a werewolf. Dad goes to shoot, and she runs out the window too to join the pack. And now the big dogs are running, and they are jumping on couches, and they're breaking through paintings, going up and down the stairs. If you can't run with the big dogs, you stay on a porch with the pups. Rosaline then wakes up from her dream, the original one. And now all the dogs are breaking through into her room. She is freaking out. All her haunted dolls are falling on the floor and crashing. The end? The end. Huh? I totally understand why this is a cult classic. There's a lot here that I absolutely loved. One thing that seemed a little off for me was this felt like a made-for-TV production. The music felt kind of like a little cheaper. The sound and everything just felt like, everything about it just felt a little bit cheaper than a major production. The one thing I think for me is the fact that it's like, I understand that this is all a girl's dream, but then at the end, it's like the dream's coming into her reality. I don't know. I felt like maybe the whole her being asleep thing just wasn't really necessary. It didn't add anything to the story. We don't know why she's having this dream. Why is any of this occurring? I have no idea. Which I think just brings me to the whole plot of this movie being very confusing. I'm sure that's kind of the point. This is a fairy tale fever dream. And I think it has a lot more to do with the imagery and, you know, kind of just being crazy and different than it does with telling some kind of like solid story, which I'm totally okay with. I actually love how weird it is. Going back to the production, the sets on this, you can really tell that every single thing is like a set on a soundstage somewhere. And I feel like it worked. I think that there's something to that that's working very well, since this is like this fairy tale dreamscape kind of thing. The sets feeling a little off or a little more contained, I think it elevates the movie a little bit. I talked about this earlier, but this is clearly like steeped in old fairy tales and weird stories, and it makes things really weird and hard to understand, which I like. You don't really get to see a lot of that very often. I said this earlier too, a lot of these older fairy tales have been modified for a more modern storytelling, and I like the older ones. They're weird and creepy. They go especially heavy on the Red Riding Hood references in the final scene with the guy in Grandma's shack. They're saying, you know, all the lines like, oh, what big eyes you have. She's also wearing the red hood. For a movie about wolves and werewolves, there is a shocking lack of actual wolves in this movie. I think they do use a couple, but in the bigger pack scenes, they're just dogs, which threw me off. If you're going to make a movie about wolves and werewolves, get some real wolves on stage. These dogs, this is just like the neighborhood dog pack running around. Don't get me wrong, I loved them. They were great, but it seemed less scary because it's just a bunch of dogs. The bread and butter of this movie, what makes it so iconic, are the werewolf transformations. Some of the greatest I have ever seen. They are so wild, incredibly memorable. I will never forget any of these. All three of the werewolf transformations in this movie are amazing and also quite unique from one another. Only gripe is that they just change into a wolf at the end of it. It's never like a werewolf. It's just a person who transforms into a wolf, usually very violently. Overall, liked it. Didn't love it, but I get why people do. If you like weird-ass fairy tale movies that don't make any sense, but go absolutely crazy on the imagery and werewolf body horror, absolutely check this out. But what do you think? Have you seen The Company of Wolves? Do you love it? Do you not love it? Let me know your opinions down in the comments. Be sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye.